Hi students, good evening everyone. I hope all are doing well. Welcome to Infinity Learn by Sri Chaitanya. This is me Soorya, your chemistry faculty from Infinity Learn. So I hope I'm perfectly audible. So here in this session we are going to discuss about the NCERT questions which is given in our textbook. About the 20 questions are there for the same first chapter, chemical reactions and equations. We are going to solve around 15 or 16 questions from the 20 questions from the NCERT exercises. So those who are watching the live, just mark your attendance here. So we have already completed the chapter of chemical reactions and equations, right? What are the important topics there? First one is the chemical reactions, how we can explain the chemical reactions in terms of the equations and balancing of chemical equations, right? So we have studied the types of chemical reactions also. So based on that topic, we will be discussing the NCERT questions here. We can move our first question. This is, which of the statements about the reaction below are incorrect? A particular reaction is given here. We have already discussed about the oxidation reduction part, right? We have already studied the three methods, three concepts based on the classical concept, modern concept and the electronic concept for the identification of oxidation and reduction, right? So based on that idea, you need to give the answer for this question. Which of the statements about the reaction below are incorrect? So you can use any of the method to identify whether they are undergoing oxidation or reduction. So here you need to identify whether it is undergoing oxidation or reduction, right? You can use the classical concept or the oxidation number concept. So if you are taking here as the oxidation number concept, we can say here oxygen will be having -2 charge, right? Then lead will be having +2 charge. What about here? Carbon is a pure metallic form, pure elemental form, so oxidation state will be 0 over here. Then for lead again it is a pure elemental form, so oxidation state is 0. Then what about the case of carbon? In the case of carbon dioxide, oxygen is having the -2 charge, right? So total -4 will be for the oxygen, carbon will be having +4 charge. So what you are observing here, lead will be changes its oxidation state from +2 to 0, right? +2 to 0 means lead oxide is reduced. Which means, okay, this is the correct statement, right? Lead oxide is reduced. Then what about the case of carbon? Carbon is increasing its oxidation state from 0 to +4, means carbon is oxidized. So C is again correct answers, right? So what would be our incorrect answers here? That means A and B, lead is getting reduced is incorrect answer and carbon dioxide is getting oxidized is the incorrect answer, which means option 1, right? A and B will be the incorrect answers. Hi Harshit, welcome to the session. So I hope you understand about this question, right? Either you can use the classical method or the oxidation number method to identify the oxidation and reduction. So here from the oxidation number method you identified that lead oxide is getting reduced and carbon is getting oxidized. So which means A and B are the incorrect statements regarding the particular reaction. Okay, now we are moving to our next question. Another reaction is given here. You need to identify which type of reaction it is, whether it is a combination reaction, double displacement reaction, decomposition or displacement reaction. So what will be the answer? So we have studied the types of chemical reactions, right? So this is the displacement reaction, right? So what is the meaning of displacement reaction? Highly reactive metal will be easily displace the less reactive metal from the solution, right? So what you are observing here in this particular reaction, aluminum will be displaces the iron from the iron oxide, right? If you are comparing the reactivity series, you can know that aluminum will be more reactive than the iron, right? So high reactive metal always displaces the less reactive metal or the low reactive metal from the solution. So here aluminum will be displaces the iron from iron oxide to form pure iron, which means this is a type of displacement reaction. Is that clear? So this is about the single displacement reaction. If you are containing any of the reactions, there will be two displacements are happening. That is known as a double displacement reaction. Then what do you mean by the combination reaction? Two or more than reactants. So that is about the decomposition reaction. These are the very important types of chemical reactions. Hi Durgesh. Here is our next question. What happens when dilute hydrochloric acid is added to iron fillings? Tick the correct answer. So we have already stated about the reactivity series in the case of metals, right? So you need to focus here whether in the case of dilute hydrochloric acid, hydrogen is present, right? Whenever any metal is treating with the acid, they will be producing the hydrogen gas, right? Which means depending upon the reactivity between hydrogen and the given metal here. Yes, what will be the answer? Option A, right? Hydrogen gas and iron chloride is produced. So what will be the chemical reaction here? Dilute hydrochloric acid, right? Dilute hydrochloric acid means HCl. Iron filling means simply iron metal. It will be produced as hydrogen gas plus iron chloride, right? FeCl2 plus hydrogen gas. So what will be the balanced equation? Fe plus 2 HCl gives FeCl2 plus hydrogen, right? So we know that in the case of, if you are comparing the reactivity series of the iron and hydrogen, iron is more reactive than the hydrogen, so it easily displaces hydrogen from the hydrochloric solution. So whenever you have any questions based on the chemical reactions, you need to write down the balanced chemical equations for the reaction. So here option A will be the correct answer. Then here is the next question. A statement type question. What is the balanced chemical equation and why should chemical equations be balanced? So how we can explain the question? What do you mean by the balanced chemical equation? So maybe in grade 9 you have studied the law of conservation of, yes, law of conservation of mass, right? Law of equationing, law of conservation of mass, which means that mass can neither be created nor be destroyed. So according to law of conservation of mass in a particular reaction, the total mass of the reactant should be equal to the total mass of the products. So in order to follow the law of conservation of mass, we are using the balanced chemical equation, and we can define the balanced chemical equation as the reaction in which can be explained in terms of the equation in which the mass of the reactant should be always equal to the mass of the product. I hope you understand. Yes, Durgeshwar, you are correct. So depending upon the mark, you can give the answers. Maybe this will be asking about the 2 marks question. Here is the next question. Translate the following statements into chemical equation and then balance them. 4 sub-questions are given here. You need to identify the chemical equation and try to balance the equation. So just try by yourself one by one. What about the first reaction? What is the chemical equation for the first reaction? Okay, take your own time. Okay, till then I will write down the equation here. Hydrogen gas, right? Hydrogen gas means H2. Combines with nitrogen. Nitrogen means N2. To form ammonia. Ammonia means NH3, right? So I hope you have done with the balancing. So here you can see in the case of reactant part there is 2 nitrogen is present, right? But in the case of product part there is only 1 nitrogen. So what I am doing here, I am multiplying with the number 2 over here. So now nitrogen is balanced, right? But one problem arises here. Here it will be 2 into 3, 6 hydrogen is present in the case of product part, right? But here it is only 2 hydrogen. So what I am doing, I am multiplying with the number 3 over here to balance the number of hydrogen atoms as 6 over here. Now you can see, now you can calculate the total number of atoms present in the reactant and product part, which means 3H2 plus N2 gives 2NH3 is the balanced chemical equation for the first reaction. Yes, 3H2 plus N2 gives 2NH3, right? Okay, what about this second reaction? Hydrogen sulfide gas burns in air to produce water and sulfur dioxide. Hydrogen sulfide, as we already know, right? H2S. Burns in air means that will be treating with the oxygen. So O2. That will gives water molecule H2O, right? H2O plus SO2, sulfur dioxide. So try to balance this equation. Is it balanced here? 2 hydrogen is there, right? 2 hydrogen is here. 1 sulfur is here, but here oxygen is not balanced, right? Here it is 2, here it is, here it is 2, here it is 3. How we can balance here? H2S plus O2, right? H2S plus O2 gives H2O plus SO2. So what is the number of oxygen here? Here it is 2 and here it is 2 plus 1, 3, right? I hope you are getting my point. Now what we can do here, hydrogen is already balanced. We need to focus about the number of oxygen atom, right? So for example, I am adding here 3 oxygen. Now it is 3 into 2, 6, right? 3 into 2, 6. Now what is another possibility? I am adding 2 SO2 over here, right? 2 SO2 over here. So it will be 2 into 2, 4 plus 2 again here. 6 is already balanced. Oxygen is already balanced here, right? I hope you are getting my point. Then what about here? In the case of sulfur, there is 2 sulfur is present. So I am adding here 2 H2S. So what will be the final equation? What will be the final equation? Now you can see, right? Hydrogen atom is 2 into 4 over here. Here again 2 into 2, 4. Then sulfur is again 2. Here again 2. Then oxygen 3 into 2, 6 here in the reactant part. Here it is 2 plus 2 into 2, 4. That is equal to 6 again. Is that clear? So balancing is completely depends upon you. Okay, fine. Now we are moving to the third equation. barium chloride, right? Barium chloride is reacting with aluminum sulfate to form aluminum chloride and the barium sulfate. So what is the chemical formula of barium chloride? BaCl2, right? Then aluminum sulfate means Al2SO4 tries. That will be producing aluminum chloride, right? Yes, aluminum chloride and barium sulfate. AlCl3 plus BaSO4. So try to balance this equation. Just let me know what is the answer in the comment box. Maybe you have studied different method to find out the balancing of equation, right? Here is a small trick to find out the balancing. So you need to focus the part where the number of atoms are more, right? So here in the case of SO4, if I am considering only the SO4 part, in the case of reactant part, SO4 is 3 moles. I mean 3 SO4 particle is present here, right? So what I am doing in order to balance the SO4 in the product part, I am multiplying with the number 3. I hope you got the point. If you have any complicated equations like this, just focus on the part where the number of atoms are more. So here SO4 is a 3 part, I mean tries is there, so which means we need to balance by multiplying 3 over here in the BaSO4 part. Now what is the case of barium? 3 barium is present in the product part, but here it is only 1 barium in the reacting part, so I am adding 3 again over here. Now barium is balanced and sulfate is already balanced. We need to balance the chlorine atom here. 3 into 2, 6 chlorine atom is present in the reactant part. So what I am doing, in order to balance the chlorine atoms in the product part, I am multiplying with the number 2. Did you got the point? Now you can check, right, what is the total number of atoms here. Barium is already balanced, aluminum is already balanced, sulfate is balanced and chlorine is already balanced. Is that clear? What about the last reaction? Potassium metal reacts with water to form potassium hydroxide and hydrogen gas, right? Potassium is K, react with water to form potassium hydroxide, right? KOH plus hydrogen gas, H2. This is very easy balancing, just try by yourself, take it as an homework. I hope it is clear for everyone. Now we are moving to the next question. Again, balancing of the chemical equations. Equation is already given here, you need to do the balancing. So what will be the answers for the first reaction? Same method, right? You need to focus the part where is the number of atoms are more. So here you can see NO3 is 2 over here. Here only one NO3 is present. So I am multiplying with the number 2 over here. Now NO3 is balanced, right? Now what is the case of hydrogen atom here? It is 2 hydrogen, right? 2 hydrogen plus 2 hydrogen, 4 hydrogen atom is present. So we are multiplying here 2 hydrogen atom, right? Now hydrogen atom is already balanced, 2 hydrogen plus 2 hydrogen here. What about the case of oxygen? 2 into 3 is 6, right? 6 plus 2 is 8 over here. So here again 2 oxygen is present and 3 into 2 is 6 oxygen is present. So total 8 oxygen is balanced. Is there any doubt? Repeating again, if you have the complicated equations like this, just focus on the part where the number of atoms are more in the reactant or the product part. Now try to balance by multiplying the corresponding number to there. Is that clear? What about the second reaction? The case of product part, 2 sodium is present, right? 2 sodium is present, but in the react part there is only 1 sodium, so I am multiplying with the number 2. Now sodium is balanced, sulfate is already balanced. Then what about the case of hydrogen? Here it is 2 hydrogen plus 2 hydrogen, 4 hydrogen is present, right? So in order to balance the number of hydrogen atom, multiplying 2 with the water molecule. Then what about the case of oxygen? 2 is here and 4 is here, 4 plus 2, 6 is here. Here again 4 plus 2, 6 is here, which means all the atoms like sodium, hydrogen, sulfate and oxygen is already balanced. Is there any doubt? I hope it is clear. Then what about the third reaction? Do we need to balance the third reaction? 2 NaOH plus H2SO4 gives Na2SO4 plus 2H2. Yes, very good. What about the third reaction? Whether it is balanced or not, or do we need to do the balancing? Just focus on the number of atoms. Sodium is already 1, here it is again 1. Silver is 1, silver is again 1. Chlorine is already balanced, right? NO3 is already balanced, which means the complete reaction given it is itself is balanced. So there is no need of any more balancing here. What about this of last reaction? BaCl2 plus H2SO4 is BaSO4 plus HCl. Yes, it is already balanced, right? What about this last reaction? Here it is 2 chlorine atoms, right? But in the product part there is only 1 chlorine atom, multiplying with the number 2, 2 HCl, right? Then barium is balanced, chlorine is already balanced, hydrogen is balanced, sulfate is already balanced. So this will be the balanced chemical equation for the last reaction. Any doubt? I am repeating again, balancing of the chemical equation is very important. Yes, in the case of RHS, 2 HCl is present. Hi Himanshu. Okay, here is another question, again balancing of the reaction. After balancing, we need to identify whether this is a type of reaction, which type of reaction it is. So just try by yourself, just let me know what is the balanced chemical equation for this reaction. Potassium bromide, right? Potassium bromide means KBr plus barium iodide BaI2 gives potassium iodide Ki plus barium bromide means BaBr2. Try to balance the equation. Himanshu, is there any doubt? So how we can balance the first reaction? Here bromine is 2, right? So I am adding 2 KBr here. So now potassium is 2 here. So I am adding 2 again over here. Now what about the case here? Potassium is already balanced, 2 over here in reactant product part. And barium is already balanced. Iodine is 2 over here. Here it is again 2. Bromine is 2 over here. Here it is again 2. It is balanced, right? We are multiplying 2 kBr and 2 potassium iodide Ki. This will be the balanced equation, right? Which type of reaction it is? Yes, Durgesh, you are correct. 2 kBr plus Ba2 gives 2 Ki plus BaBr2. Which type of reaction it is? So what you are observing here, barium can displace the potassium and potassium can displace the bromine also, right? So which means this is a double displacement reaction. Two displacements are happening here, right? So this is a double displacement reaction. Then second reaction, zinc carbonate, right? ZnCO3 gives zinc oxide, ZnO plus carbon dioxide. What will be the balancing? Do we need to balance? It's already balanced, right? So this is completely balanced already. So which type of reaction it is? A single product is break down into more than one or two reactants, right? So which means this is the decomposition reaction. Yes. So third reaction, hydrogen plus chlorine gives hydrogen chloride, right? So H2 plus Cl2 gives HCl. In order to balance, we will be multiplying with 2. Which type of reaction it is? H2 plus Cl2. Chlorine will be always exist as a diatomic molecule, so you need to give as a Cl2 molecule. H2 plus Cl2 gives 2 HCl. 2 or more than reactants is combined together to form this one single product, right? So this reaction is known as a combination reaction. Then, what about the last reaction? Magnesium, right? Magnesium will be treating with Mg plus HCl, hydrochloric acid gives MgCl2, magnesium chloride, MgCl2 plus H2. Do the balancing, right? Here it is 2 chlorine, here it is only 1 chlorine, multiply with 2. So now it is completely balanced, right? Here you can see this is the single displacement reaction. We have already studied about the atoms and molecules, right? Atomicity of different molecules, monoatomic, diatomic. Wait, I will explain. So I will just explain this one first. Mg plus 2 HCl gives MgCl2 plus H2. This reaction is known as a single displacement reaction. Okay, I will explain here. Almost all the inert gas elements, maybe you have studied, right? Helium, neon, argon are the monoatomic element, and in the case of diatomic elements, we will be focusing about the halogens, right? Fluorine will be excited as F2, chlorine will be excited as Cl2, bromine will be Br2, iodine is again I2. Then in some other cases there will be triatomic is also present, especially for the ozone molecule, right? Triatomic means total number of atoms will be equal to 3. So this is about the case of ozone. Then polyatomic means more than 3, atomicity will be more than 3 is known as the polyatomic. For example, phosphorus, right? It will be exist as a tetraatomic P4. Then simply sulfur will be always exist as a octatomic, right? Which means 8 atoms are combined together to form the one single molecule. Is that clear? This is about the atomicity of different molecules. Do I need to explain again? Okay, one second. So this is about the atomicity of molecules, right? Whenever you are focusing about the atomicity, we can divide it into monoatomic, diatomic, triatomic and the tetraatomic. So generally, monoatomic molecules means they will be containing only single atom. So for example, all the inert gas like helium, neon and argon. Then diatomic means fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine. Hydrogen is also present, H2, right? Then O2, oxygen is present. So these are the diatomic molecules. Triatomic means ozone. Ozone, in the case of ozone, 3 oxygen atoms are combined together to form the triatomic molecule. Then in some other cases like sulfur and phosphorus, they are polyatomic. More than 3 atoms are combining, right? In the case of phosphorus, it is tetraatomic P4, and in the case of sulfur, it is octaatomic. 8 atoms are combining. Clear? S4 is there. In general, sulfur will be expressed as a S8 molecule. Their atomicity. Then let's explain this question. What does mean by exothermic and endothermic reaction? Give examples. So just give me a single word about the exothermic reaction and the endothermic reaction. Whether it is heat absorbing or heat releasing. So these are the two types of reaction depending upon the heat absorption or releasing, right? If any reaction in which heat is releasing, that is known as the exothermic reaction. And in the case of any reaction, if they are absorbing the heat, they are known as the endothermic reaction, right? So I have given the explanation for the endothermic reaction here. Endothermic reaction occurs when energy is absorbed from the surrounding in the form of heat. Examples are photosynthesis, melting of ice and evaporation, right? Okay, then exothermic reaction means energy is released from the system in the surroundings. Example, explosions and concrete setting, nuclear fusion and fission. So these are the examples for the exothermic and endothermic reaction. Here is about the next. Okay, here is the next question. Statement type question. Why are decomposition reactions called the opposite of combination reaction? Write equation for these reactions. So how we can explain this question? Why we are called the decomposition reaction as the opposite of combination reaction? Decomposition means expand, combination means add, right? Okay, that's fine, but you need to give a proper answer depending upon the marks, right? So in the case of combination reaction, that will be the reaction in which 2 or more than reactants combine together to form a single product, right? 2 or more molecules to form a larger molecule. That is about the combination reaction. For example, A plus B gives C, right? Then what about the use of decomposition reaction? It is defined as the larger molecules. These larger molecules will be break down to simpler molecules, right? First one is the combination reaction, second one is the decomposition reaction. Is that clear? Okay, I hope you understand. Here is the another statement type question in the NCERT. Write one equation each for decomposition reactions where energy is supplied in the form of heat, light or electricity. So three type of reaction we have studied, right? If it is the heat, that is known as the thermodecomposition, right? Thermolysis or thermodecomposition. Light means photodecomposition, right? Photodecomposition. And electricity means electrodecomposition or the electrolysis. So this is the explanation for the thermal decomposition. Example is given here. Potassium chloride, right? Potassium chloride. Potassium chloride is converted into potassium chloride and oxygen. Then electrolytic decomposition in the case of water molecule, right? It will be forming H2 and O2. Then what about the case of photodecomposition reaction? Hydrogen peroxide will be decomposed into water and oxygen. So you can take any of the examples that is satisfying these conditions. Is that clear? Yeah, silver chloride is also fine for the photo decomposition. Here is the next question. Explain the following in terms of gain or loss of oxygen with two examples each. Oxidation and reduction. So what do you mean by oxidation? As oxidation means addition of oxygen, I mean gain of oxygen, right? Then what about the case of reduction? That is the loss of oxygen. In a chemical reaction, when the oxygen is added to the element to form its respective oxide, it is known as the oxidation, right? For example, we have given the oxidation of hydrogen sulfide, right? H2S plus O2 gives H2O plus SO2, sulfur dioxide is forming. That is about the case of oxidation. Then, what about the case of reduction? The oxygen is being removed from the compound, then it is said to be reduced. So you can see over here, right? Mercuric oxide, we are removing oxygen to form corresponding oxygen and mercury metal, right? So this is known as a reduction process. Or you can again consider this as a reduction or oxidation based on the oxidation number concept also. Clear? Here is the next question. A shiny brown colored element X on heating in air becomes black in color. Name the element X and the black colored compound formed. This is a shiny brown colored element, which means this will be a metal, right? Shiny surface, this will be a metal. That will be heating in air, I mean treating with the oxygen to form the another substance that will be having the black in color. So I hope you got the answer as copper, right? So our element X is the copper that will be treating with, that will be undergoing oxidation to form the copper oxide, which will be having the black color, right? What is our question? A shiny brown colored element. That will be, it will be a metal, right? So this metal will be treating with, treating in air to form the corresponding oxide that will be having the black in color. Is that clear? I think in the case of silver, it is not brown color, right? It is not the shiny brown color. It will be having a silvery white color. Here this cuprous oxide, CuO, will be having the black color. Durgesh, I hope you understand. Here is the another question based on the application of corrosion. Why do we apply paint on iron articles? So we have studied the corrosion part, right? Rusting of iron. So in order to prevent the corrosion or the rusting of iron, we are adding, we are applying paint over the grills, like iron fillings, right? Iron grills. So what will be the reason behind that? Yes, corrosion nahi hoga, right? So in order to prevent the corrosion, we know that rusting of iron will be means the iron will be combining with the moisture or oxygen to form the corresponding oxide, or the components are forming here. That will be resulting in the rusting of iron. A brown color is forming, right? So in order to prevent the surface from undergoing rusting or the corrosion, we will be adding paints, right? If you are painting the surface does not come in contact with the moisture and air, thus preventing rusting. I hope it is clear. Here is again another application level question. Oil and fat containing food items are flushed with nitrogen. Why? So a very important term we have studied, right? Yes, rancidity. So the main purpose of flushing nitrogen into food packets that contain oil and fat items is to prevent the rancidity, right? Rancidity. So what do you mean by rancidity? In the case of food packets, if they are containing oil or fat, that will comes in contact with the oxygen to form the, and substance will be forming, which will be having the unpleasant smell as well as the taste, right? Smell. It will become, smell will be changes and taste will be changes. That is known as the rancidity. So if you are adding the nitrogen will be act as an inert gas, right? It will not react with the any other substance, and it will be preventing the food substance will react with the oxygen present in the compound. Clear? So main point is about the rancidity. In order to prevent the rancidity, we are adding nitrogen in the case of food items containing oil and fats. Here is the last question. Explain the following terms with one example each. What do you mean by corrosion and rancidity? Okay, you need to join our Telegram channel, Infinity and 9 and 10 Telegram channel. You will be getting the same PDF. So corrosion we have studied, right? In the case of corrosion, the substance will be come in contact with the moisture or air to form the corresponding oxides. For example, rusting of iron is the most common example for the corrosion. Rusting of iron, and tarnishing of copper is again another example. Then rancidity, we know that if any food containing fats or oil, that will be undergoing aerial oxidation. They will be reacting with the oxygen to form the some substance that will be having the unpleasant taste as well as smell. That process is known as the rancidity. So in order to avoid the rancidity, we will be keeping all the foods in the refrigerators. Clear? Durgesh, this is the proper explanation. You can take this note. Okay, fine. So this is the last question. I hope you guys understand the complete questions from the NCERT exercise for the chapter chemical reactions and equations. So this is a general reminder about the score examination. I hope you have already know about this. Only three days are remaining for the score examination, right? So September 28 is the score examination. You need to register for the examination before 26, before tomorrow. So the link will be provided in the description. You need to register for the examination now. If you are not registered in, register now. Right? So that's all about from my side for today. I hope you guys enjoyed the session. If you really like the session, hit the like button, share this particular session to your friends also, and subscribe to our channel. And the next class, I will be coming back with the next chapter, acid, bases, and salt, along with their exercises. So in order to get the session PDF, you need to join the Telegram channel. After the session, we will be uploading the session PDF in the Telegram channel. So thank you so much all of you. See you in the next class.